Hey guys, Chris here with the Good Old Gamer. So before you go clicking that dislike button or commenting because of the thumbnail or the title of this video, just wait a sec and hear me out on this. So did Microsoft just win this generation? I believe that they did, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about here today. There's no denying that Sony completely won last generation. PS4 completely dominated the Xbox One. And Microsoft clearly learned from its failures and seems to have addressed all of those and increased their value proposition to a level that we just never seen before. So I'm really excited to see how this all shakes out. But I want to explain to you guys why I think right now Sony needs to do a lot of catching up to be competitive this generation. All right, so before we get into that, just a reminder, every Saturday I'm going to be doing live streams. So if you guys want to talk to me about this stuff, Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 5 p.m. GMT for you guys in Europe. So look forward to talking to you guys about this there. Next generation is going to be the main topic for this Saturday. So look forward to seeing you guys there. Alrighty, so last generation, like I said, Sony completely won, hands down. But how'd they do that? At launch, Sony had two key advantages. One, their console was cheaper, and that was a big one. So it was less expensive than the $499 Xbox One, coming in at $399, so significantly less. And then number two, it was more powerful. So it was cheaper and faster. So there was literally no reason to really consider an Xbox, except for maybe exclusives, which in the Xbox 360 generation, Microsoft had many very good exclusives. So that was kind of a wash back then. Nowadays, we can clearly say that Sony has the better established exclusives at this point in time. I want to start with Microsoft and their advantages going into this next generation. Starting off, the recently announced Xbox Series S. We finally know that it's really a thing. It's beneficial now, so it's coming in at $299. This makes it the entry-level point to get into this next generation. The graphics horsepower is basically going to be on par with the Xbox One X, but it's got all the RDNA 2 stuff, so it can do ray tracing and that kind of stuff. So the GPU is definitely significantly worse than the Series X or the PS5, but this is basically just a 1080p box. And let's be honest, most gamers are still using 1080p. Taking a look at the Steam hardware survey, yes, I know this is on PC, one could argue PC gamers are more enthusiasts than the average console gamer, but regardless, we can see almost 2/3 of gamers are using 1080p. Some people are still using lower than that. So clearly, this is still the vast majority of the market. So coming out with a 1080p machine, I know they label it as 1440p, but let's be honest, it's basically a 1080p machine. And that's fine, because many people are still happy with their 1080p displays, obviously. So this is a really big win, coming in below anything that Sony's going to be able to do. Now, Sony has not officially announced their prices, but best case scenario we're looking at is $499 for the disc model and then $399 for the discless model. It's not going to be less expensive than the Series S, obviously. All right, so then number two, second advantage for Microsoft is the Xbox Series X. On paper and specs-wise, this is the most powerful next-generation console. Should be 15 to 20% faster than the PS5. It's not a lot faster, but it will hold the performance crown. So for those people out there that want the most powerful console and don't want a PC, the Series X is the way to go. So now Microsoft has the least expensive and the fastest option covered. And this sandwiches Sony right in between in terms of price and performance. Now, this next advantage, honestly, I knew about it, but it just didn't really click how good this is going to be. But this is the Microsoft Xbox All Access Pass. This, to me, is the real game changer, and this is what Sony really needs to fear. What this is it's basically like a cell phone contract. What you do is you pay a monthly payment, a very low monthly payment, by the way, over 24 months. You get the console. So for $25 a month, you get an Xbox Series S, or for only $35, so if you can spring the extra $10, you get an Xbox Series X. You get Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes a library of well over 100 games. You get every Microsoft exclusive day and date, And yes, there will be a lot of Microsoft console exclusives this time around. They bought a whole bunch of studios over the past few years. We just don't know what they're coming out with yet. That's why I said Sony has established franchises. Microsoft, we don't know. They could be good, they could be crap, we don't know. But you get access to all of those. So for $25 or $35 a month, you get a console, you get well over 100 games, you get all of the exclusive games, you get Xbox Live Gold, which isn't that new. Obviously, they already rolled that in, so you can play online, but that's another expense you don't have to worry about. And you get access to Project X Cloud. So if you're on the go a lot and you have really great internet wherever you are, you can actually just stream any of those games that you have access to on your phone or any mobile device. So you get all of that for $25 or $35 a month over a 24-month contract. So I do want to stipulate this will be with a credit check, so not everybody will have access to this. But if you think about it, in these hard economic times, let's say, your job cut your hours, or maybe you lost your job and you're working part-time somewhere else, you don't have a whole lot of money. Now, Microsoft has made the entry level to get into next generation just $25 a month. That isn't too difficult for most people to come up with. Most people can scrounge up a few bucks a month if they need to. It's a lot harder coming up with $600, $700, $800 to get all of this stuff on its own. So this is really important, especially right now during the whole pandemic thing and everybody out there is hurting. So this, I think, is the most important thing Microsoft has ever done. And then finally, the last thing that Microsoft now has, I mean, they've had it for a while, but to me, this is a big one, and that is backwards compatibility. We're not just talking about Xbox One games playing on the next generation. We're talking about Xbox 360 and the original Xbox. While the titles that you can play on the original Xbox are rather limited, you still have access to many of the great games from those generations on these next-gen consoles, many of which are actually a part of Game Pass. And to me, like I said, this is huge. Microsoft didn't have this at the launch of the Xbox One. This is a feature that they added later. And this is a big deal. Like, if you have a decent collection, I'm looking at my collection right now. I have a whole bunch of 360 and Xbox original games. If you just have those laying around, poof, you now have access to them. And they're up-resed and look a lot better. I really hope this generation they do the same thing with all the Xbox 360 games. They did the Xbox One X enhancement thing on some of the games. I'm hoping with this extra horsepower, they do it to all the games. So basically, you can play all your old favorites that you may already own, and you can play them much better than even on original hardware. So this is huge. This means that Microsoft, straight off the jump, has a much bigger and varied catalog than what Sony will offer on their next-gen machine. So what does Sony have going for it? Because that's a lot. Microsoft literally has what I would say is everything they need to be successful. What does Sony really offer you? Well, they have console exclusives, the Sony exclusives. That's about it. This is really their only selling point at this point in time. And once people realize that it's not worth buying a $500 machine or even a $400 machine to play what? How many Sony exclusives are there really that you want to play? 5, 10, maybe 12 to 15, I'd say at most. So anywhere between 5 and 15 games. Is it worth investing $400 in a machine and then $60 a pop? A lot of people are going to say no, especially when you realize that all you have to do is wait till the generation's over and people are trying to ditch their PS5 so they can buy a PS6 or whatever in the future. You can buy these consoles dirt cheap. This is exactly what I did with the PlayStation 3. There was a lot of exclusives on there, far more than I believe on the PS4. The PS3 had tons of exclusives, but I was able to get the PS3 for $80. And it was one of the backwards compatibility models with the PS2. So one of the ones that are worth a lot of money, by the way. So I got one of those for $80. And then for about another $100, I picked up every exclusive that I wanted on the machine. So less than $200, I got access to everything the PS3 has to offer. Right now, or in the coming months, if you want to play a lot of PS4 exclusives and never owned a PS4, now's the time to get a PS4. People will be selling them dirt cheap. You can get them, like I said, under $100, and the games are only $5 to $10 a pop. That's really all exclusives do for you, is that at some point in time, people will want to play them, but most Sony games are single player, So it's not like, oh man, well, I really wish I played like Killzone, for example. I wanted to play the multiplayer. Nobody really says that. People want to play like Uncharted or Horizon Zero Dawn or The Last of Us. You know, games that are good even today. I can play them on the PS3 and still have a great time with them. So these games don't go bad. They age well, is what I'm trying to say. So just waiting, you can get access to all that stuff infinitely cheaper in the future. So to me, that's just not a good reason for me to go out and buy a console. Exclusive games aren't it. Winning on price, performance, and features, and value overall is really going to be the key here. Now me, I'm a PC gamer primarily, so that's not that big of a deal either way. I can wait on consoles forever. I can just play what's on PC and then just play on consoles later. But for a lot of people out there, they don't want to deal with a big high-end rig. They're happy with doing their work and stuff on their phone or a tablet or something, and they just want a machine underneath the TV to play and enjoy. And let's be honest, when it comes to local co-op and local multiplayer, so, you know, when you invite people over to your house to play games, you know, it's the thing that we used to do when I was a kid. We didn't have no internet and playing online or none of that fancy stuff. You'd actually just get your buddies over and you play Smash Brothers or Mario Kart or whatever. And consoles are still the best way to do that. And let's face it, you know, like I said, with everything going on in the world, money is tight. Inviting people over and having a good time locally might be on the rise, assuming that there's a lot of games that are developed for that. So for a lot of people, this is going to be a great solution, especially coming in, like I said, at that $25 a month mark. All you have to do is cancel your like Netflix and Hulu, and then poof, now you got your brand new game console for basically the same amount of money you're already spending every month. To me, that is the curveball that I really didn't see coming. I know Microsoft mentioned it a while ago, but I didn't expect it to be so affordable. $35 a month, you get the most powerful game console. So to me, this is generation's really going to shake things up. Sony is very far behind. Exclusives are not a good enough reason to buy a console. You might disagree, and I know a lot of PC gamers, that's the only reason why they would ever buy a console is for exclusives, which Microsoft doesn't have, because you can get Game Pass on PC and just play all those games anyway. But once they realize, like I just said, just wait till the end of the generation, buy everything, get the entire collection, all the games are updated and fixed, and like I said, it costs almost nothing. That's the way to do that. That's the only way to handle exclusives. If there's no other value or benefit to you, that's the way you win in that situation. Don't invest in these things up front. But that's just my opinion. Now I want to hear your opinions on this. What do you think? Do you think Microsoft's offerings going to be enough to counter the exclusives out there, that whole narrative? Having the most affordable console at $299, I think that's huge right there. Like I said, most people are playing on 1080p anyway. They have the most powerful console if you want to pay a little bit more for it. And if you don't want to pay for it up front and you have okay credit, $25 a month or $35 a month. That to me is absolutely bonkers. And then, of course, backwards compatibility. That's what I'm most interested in seeing. I want to see all Xbox 360 games up-res to 4K. And if they do that, I'm going to be very, very happy. So, alrighty, guys, but what are you guys interested in? Are you interested in any of these? I know a lot of you guys are PC gamers, but can you deny that the value that Microsoft is offering is substantial enough that they should win this generation if they market this properly? Now, if they do bad marketing, nothing's going to save your product, but Microsoft seems to be on the right track. Just the Xbox One, to me, it was just neutered from the start. So this time around, they have every advantage over Sony besides the known console exclusives, the legacy franchises. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Please share with friends. Please share this around. I know there's a lot of fanboys out there that are going to rage one way or the other. So make sure you hit that like button and share this. Maybe we can talk some sense into people, have rational conversations. Perhaps not. I mean, it's the internet. But if you go ahead and get this out there, at the very least, they can't deny the fact that they don't have this information. Well, alrighty, guys, that's all I have for you here today, and I will catch you guys in the next video.